Greetings. Welcome to day 26 of the 30 days of Halloween. I don't remember what I did before I did this. Today we're talking about which, what, who, which. What does that mean? What does that mean? Somebody asked me a question. As a matter of fact, I had more than one person ask me a question for my comments about the way witches are portrayed by the media. If I had anything to say about that. Well, of course I have something to say about it. I have something to say about everything. But, yeah, I know that comes up a lot, especially this time of the year. It comes up because, you know, witches are a part of Halloween. I mean, you can't deny that. Basically, though, you know, the witches at Halloween have been traditionally portrayed. If we want to talk about costumes, I've got my hat on here. The pointed hat. But usually we see an old hag, which, yes, I'm an old hag, but I don't have that long, crooked, pointed nose with warts on the end or, you know, yes, I do have the long hair, the long, straggly hair. I guess I'm more of a witch than I think. But, you know, mostly in later years, recent years, the costumes from witches, people don't dress up like me anymore, but like an ugly witch anymore. They dress up like a sexy witch. You know, all the monsters hadn't become sexy witches. Pretty witches. Or cute baby witches. Or my favorite, dog witches. Like, what is that all about? Dressing my dog up like a witch. I don't know. How do I feel about that? Well, I do know that I love my hat. And I do know that I have a lot of witch friends who have hats like this, and we do wear them whenever chance we get to wear them. When we're celebrating ourselves as witches sometimes for parties and things. But I also have a lot of friends who are not witches who purchase these hats, and they like to pretend they're witches, and they like to look like a witch, and that kind of pisses me off. I don't mean that. They can buy what they want. But, you know, kind of pisses me off. But, you know, thinking about how the media portrays witches, has it changed at all? Has it changed? Well, it kind of has in a way, and it kind of hasn't in a way. And you ask me on any day of the week how I feel about it, I'm going to answer in a different way. If we talk about TV, and excuse me, I keep looking down at my book here because I did note down some things I wanted to be sure to mention. But when we look down our TV experience, I think most of the people in my generation at least, one of the first experiences they had on TV was through Samantha on Bewitched. And we saw Samantha, who was if you've never seen that Bewitched, that was a lot of years ago. It was I remember the first episode, it was terrifically funny, that she was married, she was a newlywed, she was on her honeymoon in a hotel, and her husband that she had just married did not know she was a witch. And her mother was truly pissed about that, her mother Endora, very powerful witch. And she kept sending the poor husband out, Darren, she kept zapping him out of the room, zapping him. And he'd find himself in a place, where am I, how to get here? But she was pissed because Samantha had married Darren and kept the idea that she was a witch secret, and not because they were worried about being burned or worried about being chastised, but worried because Darren ended up to not approve. Not approve. And the whole series, when I did watch the whole series, I admit, I was a young girl at the time, focused on a sort of a war between Samantha and her mother, Endora, her uncle, Arthur, and Aunt Clara, who I loved Aunt Clara to pieces, her forgetful Aunt Clara, who messed up every spell she tried to do all the time. And she was the collector of doorknobs, which I found the most endearing quality I've known in a person. I wish I would have known somebody like Aunt Clara who collected doorknobs. It was very precious. But, the whole idea of we can't do magic because, and it pissed me off because I kept thinking it was so easier for her. And this is the thing, he wasn't against her doing spells and changing people into toads or doing spells and, causing horrible things to happen. He was against her to use her magic to where she could just twitch her nose and her house would be clean, her dishes would be done. No, Darren said, you have to do those dishes the way a good wife does them. No, Darren says, you have to clean your house the way a good wife cleans her house. Well, I remember as a young girl, that pissed the hell out of me. That pissed the hell out of me. And it pissed the hell out of me that Samantha was a role model for women at the time. How stupid can women be? How stupid could a witch be to do something like that? This idea about a witch having to keep herself hidden is no secret, but it shows up in many ways on television. But the reasons for it are varied. It's never because of the historical reason that the witch might be burned, which might be harmed in certain ways. The other stereotype that we feed into on television with television witches constantly is the idea that witches, all they do is battle evil. Battle evil. I'm thinking of Charmed. I love Charmed. I watched Charmed. I know a lot of you, that was one of your favorite shows. I believe Charmed is on again with different casting. It's all about the Halliwell sisters and the power of three, them being three sisters. And when they lost one sister, they got another sister. I think now they're three new sisters, but their power comes with the three of them, which is that's a kind of a good message. But they spend all their time fighting demons and fighting, evil forces. Well, for heaven's sakes, why do the witches have to just do nothing but fight the evil forces? Why can't somebody else step up and fight some evil forces and let a witch use her magic to clean her damn house? It irritates me. We get to distorted pictures now. Once Upon a Time was a series that was on not too long ago. I hope it's over. I began watching the series. I had great hope for the series, and it sort of went crazy to me. But there we had, I believe, the evil queen, the wicked evil queen in Snow White, ended up to turn into be like this good queen. She had to turn good. We had to see a good side of her. We don't want to do anything bad. We have to do just good. Okay? The Wicked Witch of the West on that show. What was her name? I forget what her name is on that show. She turned out to be. What did she turn out to be? I don't know if she stayed evil or what. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't bring myself to watch it. I just got lost in that. Now I'm watching Netflix. I don't have cable TV anymore or network TV anymore. So I'm not sure what's going on those TVs. I watch Netflix and Hulu, those kind of things, Amazon Prime, streaming services. And I know I was very hopeful when a show, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, came on. I was hopeful about that. And I realized that Sabrina was supposed to be a teenager. I think that was supposed to be a new version of the old, I don't know what it was called, The Adventures of Sabrina. It was a situation comedy, wasn't it? I don't know when it aired. But I didn't watch it. I never saw it. I think it appealed more to the younger audiences, young girls maybe. I missed a lot of television years. Didn't watch a lot of television in the 80s or 90s, or very little television. Busy doing other things, but So but I sometimes was hopeful. This one looked like a straight shot, Sabrina. I watched the first episode, kind of interesting, but it lost me very fast because there we had to go back into the stereotype. We weren't eating babies anymore, but here we were eating the flesh of dead humans. Like, really? That sounds delicious. Or, again, here we go again, doing the bidding for the Dark Lord, for Satan, the Dark Lord, our connection. You know, that connection we have with the Dark Lord Satan, this pisses me off more than anything. I know a lot of witches, and I don't know anyone who has a connection with the Dark Lord of Satan or gives them even the time of day. Now, I'm sure there are, and I'm not saying there aren't, because I know there are, and you can tell me in the comments, oh, well, yes, I do that. Oh, okay, that's fine that you do that, but this is what the only thing we're given on television. The only thing we're given on television is this message that a good witch is a witch who does not do anything magically. And when she does something, it has to be either to do something that will save the world, or fight the demons, or sleep with Satan. Nothing in between. There was a show that came on. It was, I don't know what channel it was on when I was still getting cable television. That was called The Good Witch, and I know a lot of people love this show, The Good Witch, and I think it's on now. It's on perhaps Hulu or Netflix or something. I don't watch it. It's now as a series. It's a regular series, I believe. Yeah, but I was so excited when that first came on. I thought that's going to be a really cool show. Well, she didn't do any magic. Did she ever? It was always just sort of understood that she was doing magic. Like, these things happen, these magical, cool things happen. And perhaps it was her. Like, okay, that was intriguing TV. I just didn't understand that. What is the point? What's the point? Excuse me. Pumpkin ale, very good. Only kind of beer I really like. Now we can move into the movies. We can look in the movies, the witches in the movies, and I can say, I bet you just about everything I own. If you ask anybody, any witch particularly, what is your favorite witch movie of all time? If you do not hear the two words practical magic, I'll eat my witch's hat. Because everybody loves practical magic. Why is that? Why is that? Most people say it's because of the house, because we all want that house. But is it really? And we'll talk about that more in a minute, because let's look at some other movies. Let's look at some other movies while we're at it. And there's a lot of movies that I have not seen, so I want to try to be fair. But time after time, we get excited about a movie about witches, and we get disappointed. Starting from the very beginning, the very first movie that we maybe saw that had witches in it, many of us, okay, and that was The Wizard of Oz. What was the message of the witch about witches in The Wizard of Oz? Well, who was the Wicked Witch? The Wicked Witch did all kinds of horrific things to Dorothy to try to keep her from going home, to try to keep her from going to see the wizard, to try to to do harm maybe to her and her friends, right? We even start out with her before Dorothy even gets to Oz. We start out with that same person. We've come to know, doing harm to her, trying to take her little dog Toto away from her. It was horrible. She did all kinds of things constantly. She was constantly using her magic, meddling in poor Dorothy's life. What did the good witch, Glinda, the good witch, do? What did she do? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. She could have zapped Dorothy back to Kansas anytime she wanted. She could have zapped Dorothy to the Wizard of Oz anytime she wanted. But what did she say? You had the ability to go back all along. You had the shoes. All you had to do was click your heels 3 times and say, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Dorothy, you can do your own magic. I'm not going to do anything for you, Glinda says. That's the message we get from the Good Witch, Glinda. That's the message we get from the Good Witch, the movie, who doesn't do any message. That's the message we get from Samantha, originally the Good Witch on TV. If you want to be a good witch and a good wife, you'll do no magic at all. Time after time after time, we get it. Very often, it is very rare that we see an example where a witch is able to do what a witch is able to do. That I find very refreshing, and I applaud anybody in the media of any way if they actually just get that right. Just get that right. And I'm behind you. Have they ever gotten it right? Yes, they have. Yes, they have. How about practical magic? Again, now let's go back and talk about that. Why did we like it? Yes, we loved the house. Let's get over that. Yes. Yes, we liked the actresses. We loved all the actresses. We liked the actresses who played the young witch. Who am I talking about? Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, right? Were the sisters who played the elderly aunts. We loved them. Weren't they a kick? They were a kick. The house was a kick. They used magic. They used magic spells. Everything was wonderful. Everything was wonderful. Okay. We wanted to live the life of the aunts who went off to a solstice celebration and do sky-clad magic. When the younger sisters meddled with the curse, right? They meddled in the curse. If you haven't seen the movie, you got to see it. I don't even know why you're watching me if you haven't seen the movie. It's a fantastic movie. Yeah, they got into trouble. It backfired. They weren't ready to do the spell that they were going to do. But did it work out okay? It worked out fine. How did it work out fine? They got all those women together. That coven, right? They made a coven and all got together. The power of all of them together in their rooms. That was the most, it's hard to watch that part of the movie without tearing up and getting overwhelmed with the emotion of that. That was so cool. Everybody coming together in that power that you have together, raising the power, raising the energy around you was so cool. But perhaps my most favorite part of the entire movie comes at the very end. And spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, don't listen. After all they did to get rid of the curse in the first place and then fix the mess made from them trying to get rid of the curse in the second place and all the stuff that happened afterwards, when they had their happily ever after moment, what was it? Did they turn their back on magic and walk away? No, they didn't. We see them on the roof with their children, don't we? With their young ones. With the young witches, with the next generation of witches jumping off the roof on Halloween. They're passing that magic on to their young children. Onto the young children. That's what witches do. That's what witches do. I'd love to see that. Where else did we see get it right? We saw it get it right in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Willow, remember Willow on there? Willow was able to use her magic to help Buffy in her work. Now, I've told you in the past, I'm not a big vampire slayer person. But I'll tell you one thing, this is the exception, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That series, everything was right with that series. Everything, I won't discuss it, everything was right. Everything was right. Everything was right. Everything was right. It was the most wonderful, everything was right about that series. I watched it because I was making fun of my youngest daughter because she turned it on, she was going to watch it, and I watched it. I watched the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was a joke. And I thought this series was going to be a joke too, and so we watched it to make fun of it. Well, she wasn't that interested in it, but boy, I was. I was in it. I was in it. I was in that. I was in it. And I loved everything about it. But let's talk about what else we loved. We loved Winifred and her sisters in Hocus Pocus. They were real witches. Now, yes, that's a stereotype, and I used to say, well, Rebecca, don't they eat children? Well, yes, they do eat children, but that was what they thought remember the time that they were from in history, where they were coming from. What was it, 17th century? That's what people thought of witches, that they were supposed to eat children. That's what they did. So they were really just, and it was all based on history. This whole premise of the movie was based on history, so it made sense that they would want children to eat, to be historically correct. But, you know, it was for fun. But the sisters were hilarious. They were hilarious. And I loved them for doing, because they were actually getting their witch on, and I really loved that. I loved that. Of course, our most favorite of all time, all of us, Harry Potter. Who doesn't love Harry Potter? Excuse me. Who doesn't love it? Good witches, bad witches, it doesn't matter. I like Mrs. Weasley just as much as I like Bellatrix Lestrange. I love Dumbledore just as much, well, maybe not just as much, as I love Snape, because I love Snape. I love Snape. Loved him. Loved him. But it didn't matter, good or bad, we loved them all because they all got their witch on. The children got the witch on. The adults got their witch on. It was true. It was true. Everything about it was about their magical, magical world. Everything about it. Down to every detail in their lives. That was totally cool because, you know, to me, I don't want to go on about it, but, you know, to me, magic is a part of your life. If you don't have magic as a part of your life, are you living magically? Are you living like a witch? Are you just a good witch, you know, who just occasionally, maybe something good happens and maybe she did it, maybe she didn't? Really? Is that the kind of witch you want to be? Or you want to be a witch that's out there doing stuff with your magic? You know, the media has, this is where I say, it's not important how we're portrayed in the media because we know how we really are. That's not important because it's just for fun. Yes, the media is just for fun. But it's a problem when young witches come up and they think that's who they have to be. They think that's how you have to be. There was a really ugly kind of, I will call them as a witch war. I won't call it a witch war. I'll call it a witch, scrimmage. You'll call it a witch something. Here on YouTube. It wasn't quite as bad as what we were talking about when we were talking about the witch wars, but where people were making fun of witches who were maybe what they called fluffy witches. I don't know if that's what they mean by a fluffy witch, but witches who were they had to look the part. They wanted to, you know, they wanted to wear witch clothes and witch, you know, and the whole idea of you can't be a real witch because look at you, your long witchy fingernails and your funny makeup and your different colored hair and your piercings and all of that stuff, you know, trying to look witchy. You know, and people were making fun of that, saying that witches don't look like that. Well, I have to say, the most powerful witch on YouTube that I have ever, and the most powerful witch I have ever known, ever, in all of my life, looks just like that. She's got the long, crazy fingernails. She's got the crazy hairdo with different colors. She's got makeup that's crazy, wild makeup, piercings, all kind of piercings. But she is one hell of a powerful witch. Do not for 1 minute, do not doubt that. And I think you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention her, but she knows who I am. She knows who she is too if she's watching. I don't think she's not here anymore, really. I think she's very powerful, and she looks the part. What we expect witches today to look like. I have to tell you, though, I don't look anything like that. But if you were to ask me who I think, if I think she is the most powerful witch that I know, who would I think is the second most powerful witch that I know? And I have to tell you, and I've given it a lot of thought, and I have to say, in all honesty, I would say that I believe I am, in my experience, the most powerful witch, the second most powerful witch that I know. There's a lot of other powerful witches out there, but I don't think any of them are any more powerful than me. I don't think we we don't grade each other in that way, right? But if I had to put myself on a list, I'd be up at the top. And I don't look anything. I look so far removed from being a cool, sexy witch, right? So it's not about what we look like. It's about what we do. We say that all the time. That's what we do. Okay? The bottom line is I want to see witches do something, hopefully, outside of that stereotype. Okay? About slaying demons or taking commands from the Dark Lord. That's just bullshit. Sorry, in the media, that's bullshit. Real witches aren't fooled by that. You know, I said I got a little irritated when I see my friends trying to pretend to be witches wearing hats. I used to have some of them now this weekend. They're having classes. They're doing potions class for their friends. I don't know what they're doing. I don't want to know. I know it's just fun. I know it's just for fun. You're just trying to do it because it's Halloween. They're not real potions class, but it's kind of annoying if you're a real witch to see them doing that. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if you agree with me or you don't agree. But keep in mind that when we watch witches in the media, like we watch everything in the media, it's for fun. You know, this is not the only group of people I belong to where we get irritated a little bit with the media. You know, I've mentioned so many times that I'm a part of a historical reenactment group where we reenact the Middle Ages. And, you know, everybody says, oh, did you see this movie? Did you see this movie? We can't wait for these movies or these series to come out and be released. And we're always disappointed if we take it too seriously because the costumes are usually always wrong. The facts are wrong. Historical facts, half of this history is wrong. You know, you can't judge it that way. You can't expect it to be that. You can't expect it to be accurate. If it was as accurate, you know, think about the one that, the series they did of Henry VIII and his wives, you know, the big long series they did on when it was on Showtime or HBO or whatever it was. That was terrifically popular. But, you know, Henry VIII was not a sexy... That was so false. I mean, that really was a false presentation of a lot of historical facts. But would you have watched it? Would you have watched it if it was more accurate? Probably not. It probably wouldn't have been as interesting. So we have to take it for what it's worth. It's entertainment. The witches in the media are there to entertain us. Then would it be entertaining at all if it was me sitting up on the big screen doing what I do? I don't think it would be. I wouldn't even watch it. I'm surprised people are watching me here on the little wee screen. Okay. So I don't like it too much in the media. I love it, though, when they get it right. Oh, they get it right, and I'm so excited. And that's why we're able to watch things like Practical Magic over and over again, either on a CD or whatever, movie, or you stream it on Netflix or whatever, you see it on there. Or we can watch, Harry Potter, we can read about it, we can relive it over and over again, and that's cool. Until they come out with something else that is just as good. Okay. That's all I have to say. I talk too much. I just talk too much. I'm sorry. Cheers to all of you witches. Whether you look like me or you look like the other one. And thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.